Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today we'll be doing a box office preview for this upcoming weekend, as Box Office Pro has officially put out its official estimates, though these numbers are indeed subject to change up until the numbers start coming in tonight for the Thursday previews. Before going any further though into this bit of news, please make sure you smash that like button, light up that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification turned on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. So yesterday we had Deadline putting out their own estimates, and it was around the teen millions is what they had said, all the while continuing to use the pandemic as an excuse, or rather, once again, bringing back the pandemic excuse, which had, seemingly disappeared with the amazing success of Spider-Man No Way Home, which continues to make money as the days go by. It's expected to make another $7.4 million this weekend. But this weekend, we do have a couple of new releases, one of which is likely to break even in its opening weekend worldwide, while the other is likely to set its fate pretty early on as being potentially one of the biggest box office flops of the year. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Jackass Forever, of course, is one of the new films coming out from Paramount. This film is expected to make around $26 million. The range that they have for the film, the final range that they had, is 22 to $32 million. And so therefore this film very well could do a lot worse than 26 million. It could also do a lot better than 26 million. I think that this is going to be an interesting experiment to see if the older demographic and also the younger demographic are able to come together. By that, what I mean, those that grew up watching Jackass, those that grew up with the original film, with the original series, whether they will be motivated to go out to see this film, and of course the younger generations, which might still find this kind of stuff funny or might have some knowledge of this, right? Some knowledge base of it. It's interesting to see just how kind of wide the age range is now for this. I mean, when you think about kind of all franchises, when you think about the Jackass franchise, not typically one that you think can connect and combine different age groups and age demographics, and yet it's been around for so long. It's been around since, again, I was in middle school, that it's kind of crazy to think about just the impact that it's had, over 20 plus years. And so that's obviously going to lead to a lot of different audiences that this kind of franchise could reach to. So this film could very well get to that $32 million mark, could probably even get past that as well. And of course, if indeed the fear-mongering continues and the Omicron fears and all the fear-demic stuff continues in the media, then very well we could see the number go in a lot lower than that. But I think that most people are vastly over what is going on right now and are wanting to go back to regular everyday living. Also, a big thing happening this weekend as far as the domestic numbers are concerned, because that is US and Canada, is that there are Canadian theaters that are starting to reopen for pretty much like the first time. So that, I think, could also impact these numbers, and probably why they have the asterisk next to the number, because they're probably going to look in to see, okay, are there any pre-sale numbers that they can look to? What's the sentiment on the ground there as far as how many Canadians are actually going to go out to go see this film, which will then be interesting to see exactly how that plays out. So Jackass Forever expected to make on average around $26 million, but could get up into the 30s. And then we have Moonfall, this from Roland Emmerich, being distributed by Lionsgate. This film is a movie that needs to make $365 million to break even, based off of its massive $150 million plus budget. Not likely to make it because its opening is expected to be roughly $11 million, not even going into half of what Jackass Forever, a $10 million film, which is expected to make. Again, that's kind of just insane when you think about a massive, big budget sci-fi film only getting $11 million, whereas a Jackass film is expected to make twice as much, more than twice as much. Again, that kind of shows you, I think, the environment we're living in, which is that we are looking for pure escapism, and we're looking for stories that are going to allow us to laugh and to actually escape to new worlds. And even though Moonfall, based on its original basic premise, seems to have those elements there, it also, apparently, according to some of the marketing for it, does also leave some concerns as far as potential politics and political messaging being pushed into the film as well. And so that very well could be another part of the puzzle as a somewhat original I'm not sure if it's based off of previous material or not. However, it is, again, interesting that a sci-fi film is expected to make this little money, and it really comes down to them not marketing the film nearly as well as they probably should, and also just not enticing fans to actually go out and see that type of film. While Jackass, however, in their marketing has done exactly what they have done for a very long time, right? They have been doing something very consistently. They have been obviously pandering to their fan base, and it has worked, right? They've always given their fan base something that has been entertaining, right? They've always been able to provide these bits of entertainment, right? And obviously, it's one of those weird moral conundrums, right? Watching people literally, hurt themselves for entertainment, right? It's one of these things like, should I really be laughing at this? Should I really find this entertaining? Should I really find this funny? But they have really been able to, really find an audience and really find the ability to entertain and make a lot of people laugh. And I think that's what, especially now, people are really looking for. So I would not be surprised if this film overperforms at the box office, simply because I imagine there is a large adult population out there that is just looking for entertainment, that is just looking to turn their brains off and just laugh, just reminisce about old times. And that seems what this film is about. If you look at the trailer, it seems to be very much about reminiscing about not only where they are now, of course, but also where they've been. And it looks like it might be them telling the stories and telling some of the stories from their previous experiences, while also at the same time having new experiences as well. So I think that they're going to be able to capture the same stuff, capture the same, I guess you could say, movie comedic magic that they've been able to with previous films, while also being able to bring it forward a bit as well. And since it could very well be the last of the films, again, just with a title like Jackass Forever, it seems to indicate an end, though, of course, you never know what's going to happen, especially when money is involved. It looks like it is definitely going to be going out at least on a very strong box office notes, as it is going to be, again, breaking even with those types of numbers. It'll be breaking even just based even on the domestic numbers as of this weekend, let alone any international money it gets in as well. Moonfall, though, just not really looking like it's going to be in a good position at all. It's going to be in over 3,000 theaters, so it's definitely a wide release. It's definitely got the availability there. There has been a marketing campaign for it, though I know that this is a movie that probably is going to get a lot of people saying, wait a minute, I've never even heard of this film before. But just to give you an idea of it, it's an upcoming sci-fi, co-written, directed, produced by Roland Emmerich, starring Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson, John Bradley, Michael Pena, Charlie Plummer, Kelly Yu, and Donald Sutherland. So you got some good actors in there. I'm personally not a big fan of Halle Berry, but the $146 million production budget, which is, again, an independently produced one, as Roland Emmerich is one of the primary producers of it. It was him and Harold Klosser, so it's kind of just insane that it was put forward by them and not by another major studio. It says Moonfall, of course, scheduled for release going on. It says the moon is knocked from its orbit by an unknown force and put on a collision course with Earth. 2 astronauts and a conspiracy theorist work together to attempt to avert disaster and discover that the moon is not what it seems. And so I think that there's some things going on here that seem to indicate that there could be, some other things going on, and there could be some shenanigans at play, some political shenanigans at play there. But again, it's a sci-fi film. It seems that it's an original sci-fi film based on what I'm seeing here. Just says it was being written and directed. I'm not seeing any mention of previous material as far as it being based off of anything necessarily. But yeah, as you can see, Moonfall was released will be released alongside Jackass Forever. Expected to make 8 to 11 million opening weekend with a chance to reach 15 million. I don't think that many people are seeing that in this situation. Again, this was the original long-range forecast for it, which was 8 to 15 million. And as you can see, it is set to be around $11 million for the weekend, meaning it's actually dropped down a bit. So now the range for, according to Box Office Pro, is $9 to $14 million. So definitely not looking very good for that film. While Jackass Forever, things are looking up pretty significantly, and so it'll be interesting to see what people see. Spider-Man No Way Home still going to be in the discussion, 33% drop with another $7.4 million, as is Scream with another $4 million, 45% drop. Sing 2 still remaining very strong in its drop-offs, at least 16% drop with another $3.9 million. It's kind of that little engine that could. Kingsman is still doing well, drop and percentage-wise, just had such a strong, or rather had such a weak opening. It just, again, no matter how strong it continues to go on, it's just not going to make its money back. 355 also has just dropped out completely, and all the other films down there as well just don't seem to be in the picture. What is interesting is this is the first time that Spider-Man No Way Home has not just been knocked out of the first place spot, because obviously that happened when Scream 5 came out, but it's also the first time that it's been knocked into the number 3 spot. So it'll be very interesting to see how well or not well Moonfall does, and also how well or in comparison Spider-Man No Way Home does, because obviously Moonfall has everything going for it to be the number 2 film. But as we all know, when it comes to the box office, it all depends on who actually shows up, and you could always see a situation where Spider-Man No Way Home, even after being in theaters for over 40 days, could end up still coming out at the number 2 slot. But I think that Jackass Forever's number 1 slot is pretty much a guarantee at this point in time. But anyway, what are y'all's thoughts about this? Do you think that Jackass Forever is going to be the film to beat, at least for the next couple weeks? Seems to be the case. Definitely is going to be appealing to a lot of audiences. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a film I know that I have on my radar of films to go see. As I said, for me, it's very much about nostalgia, as I grew up with those films, and it definitely puts me in kind of one of these really weird moral scenarios just because of, again, where I am now in my faith life versus where I was maybe in high school, and also just watching people hurt themselves. But at the end of the day, it does look like it's going to offer escapism, and that is what films are supposed to be all about. That's what Hollywood is supposed to be all about, is allowing for people to have just a moment of escapism in order to enjoy themselves, especially in the midst of all of the darkness, of all of the nonsense being pushed forward by the mainstream media and so many others. It seems like Jackass Forever might just be what many adult audiences have been asking for. So let me know your thoughts about any of this stuff in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, not that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. It really does mean a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my Patreon Subscribe Star and Locals members, starting off with Patreon animation commentator Brandon, let's go Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Fuzz Aldrin, Garrett Searles, Hannibal Grimm, Harold Francis, Hymir Ari Hymason, Inflamed Wood, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyles 79, Laura, The Modern Major General's Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Chat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Priscilla Hall, Rosetta Owen, Stan Andrian, Teresa Martin, or Miss Martin Muses, Theodore Benden, Tina Bojan, and Tina B., the Empress of the Universe. Thank you very much for supporting me over on Patreon. Also to my Subscribe Star peeps, UAB Mad Dog, which is Mr. Mike Jackson, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stand For, John B., Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss / the new number 2, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. Thank you all very much for supporting me over on the Subscribe Star platform. And to my 3 local supporters, we got Kara Tharp, UAB Mad Dog, which is once again Mike Jackson, super supporter over there, and Robert Barnes. Thank you very much for supporting me over on the Locals platform. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, please think about signing up on either of those platforms. You can find a link in the description below that will lead you to all of those different pages. It is known as the Willow link, as it is w.lo link, and it will have all the links to that, to the Discord channel, to all different kinds of places, including places to support me as well. At the Citizen of Asgardian level, you get Citizen of Asgardian level is how it's labeled on Patreon. Still need to fix that, but Citizen of Asgard level, you get a shout out at the end of every live stream and video. If you join at the Army of Asgard level, you also access to a giveaways channel, which is featured on the Discord that I have. I know, River, it is very exciting. It is so exciting. where you get giveaways for things like 4K titles, Steelbook titles, etc. Again, I got some 4K Steelbooks of The Punisher, for instance. I've got 4Ks of tons of other movies, so I'm giving those away all the time. So if that sounds interesting to you, join the Army of Asgard level. Also, at the Keep of the Bifrost level, you get all of that stuff, plus you get access to a once a month and maybe twice a month. We're trying to add an extra podcast in there of me and John the Flick Pick Flickinger, where we talk about movies, and also you get to ask your questions. Any questions that you want to ask, you get to ask with that podcast. And then you have the Chosen of Valhalla level, which gives you access to all of those, and also a once a month podcast where you get to be featured with me on the main channel. We all get to talk together about movies, culture, pop culture, anything really that the Chosen want to talk about, or anything the Chosen wants to promote is on the table. So if you like that, join at the Chosen of Valhalla level. Also, during your first month of support, you get a free t-shirt. Any t-shirt that you want from the main store, you get access to, and I do ship internationally anywhere in the world. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.